exciting that the conference started turning back towards the arts again. I'm a practicing artist and performer. My PhD is in Human Enhancement, stemming from Secondorder Cybernetics, which I'll frame Human Enhancement in that regard, and especially because I think that the more we talk about the internet and the growth of distributed cognition and possibilities of whole brain emulation, that prefacing and framing DIY enhancement within Secondorder Cybernetics makes sense. So let's move forward here. I'm going to break my talk down into three sections: theory, speculative theory, framing practice in an epoch of plasticity, and DIY impact, desire, feasibility. It could be looked at as desire versus feasibility, or a mixture of desire and feasibility. First off, what is human enhancement? And I'll tell you how I define it. I define it as a mediation that brings about a systems improvement by increasing its capabilities beyond a natural state of wellness, and furthers the addition of new abilities. Well, we know that human enhancement has been around for a while, especially in the transhumanist circle, but you don't have to be in the transhumanist community to understand that pretty much everywhere in the news, whether it's television, New Scientist magazine, New York Times, London, newspaper, everywhere we're talking about how to augment and enhance the human biology. So this is not a new area. The perspective that I'm taking on it, however, is a little bit new in that I'm placing it again in second-order cybernetics, but as an enhancement addition to that particular reference point. Historically, cybernetics stems, as you know, from Norbert Weiner, and that took place in the late 40s and 50s. The theory of second-order cybernetics, however, was brought about by Gregory Bateson and Margaret Mead, anthropologists and somewhat sociologists, philosophers, and Heinz van Forster. They created a biological computer laboratory at the University of Illinois in the 1960s and 70s, which was funded by the government, as most major projects were at that time. But what came out of it is this sensibility that the observer has to be part of the system being observed. In hard science, the observer is outside the system, therefore can objectively look at the dynamics of what is being observed. So in a play on that, the second-order enhancement cybernetics takes the individual you, puts you inside the system, your body, your universe, whether it's a biological body or semi or synthetic system, and you are the observer, the agent of that process. Not only that, you are the one that's enhancing yourself. So all the augmentations that you use, the wearables, no matter what they are, they're part of your process in enhancing yourself. So framing DIY enhancement, DIY means do it yourself, as linking to second-order cybernetics suggests that the observer is the agent of the system being enhanced. Well, that makes sense. It sounds pretty reasonable to me. But this is where the caveat lies. The very first step in any type of enhancement, in my view, is that we need to recognize the zone, the space, where desire, what we want to enhance, what we want to become, and the feasibility of what we want to become meet. We can have all the desire in the world, such as wanting to upload or wanting a singularity or wanting to have extreme life extension. But if we can't bring it about, it's not feasible. So although being visionary is certainly something I admire and I respect, and I take great joy in being visionary whenever I can, I'm also a pragmatist. And I need to start with what I have right now as a human being alive in a biological substrate. So this diagram shows that you're right here, this mechanical human. The second-order cybernetics takes you, the observer within the system, being changed and adapted to. And that what's necessary in that mindset, so to speak, is the plasticity of thinking. But not only the plasticity of thinking, the plasticity of knowing and growing and learning and changing and adapting to knowledge as it comes about. So then the keywords here are feedback, adaptation, and new behavior. So with the second order enhancement cybernetics, it's not a closed system of a circle, which is characteristic of cybernetics or second order cybernetics. I use a spiral because even though there's feedback and adaptation, it's not within a closed system because we're constantly evolving and we do not know what we will become. Or how we'll look for that matter, even though I design how we look, I still don't know, it's just a hypothetical conjecture. So I'd like to take us now that I've set this up, where I see second order cybernetics being essential to human enhancement and do-it-yourself. The speculative theories that are around right now. The first theory is that the humans will become disembodied agents in cyberspace, and that is most often pronounced by Catherine Hales, and it's in the literary departments of most universities, and also Francis Fukuyama, Leon Cass, a number of other advocates of genuine biology or the dignity of human biology. They preface the perspective that that's how we will enhance, we'll end up being bodiless entities. The second theory is that our dignity lies within our DNA, and that if we tamper with our DNA, we lose that heredity of who we are as an animal species, as a Homo sapiens sapien. Forgetting the fact that we've never been 100% human to start with because we share our body with mitochondria, which has a totally different DNA, and we could not exist without our mitochondria. The third theory that is very popular right now is prosthetics. That we've always been a prosthetic being because our body is a prosthesis for our brain. The fourth theory is one of the cyborg, and it takes Manfred Klein's view of the cyborg, which stems from cybernetics, and puts it in a whole other area of science fiction, which ends up being more like the Terminator, where it's a totalitarian environment and one to be feared, so that will become a metal type of cyborg that's a pretty scary character. The fifth theory is the transhumanist theory, where we're an agent in motion, or an agency in movement, that we're evolving all the time and we don't know what we will become, but we accept the fact that the human state is not the final draw. Theory 6, and this is my latest work here with second order enhancement cybernetics. And the theory is that we are the agent, we are the observer. We're functioning within the system that we're observing and that we're an agent of, our body, but our extended body. And we're constantly enhancing the attributes of that system. Now, so we're doing this, but where is the DIY? How can we do it? Well, the most frequent palette of media is NBIC, and I add the plus to it, nano-bio-info-cogno-neurosciences, plus robotics, artificial general intelligence, any other type of synthetic and even chemical components. So here the most important area to think about in DIY is the body connectivity, the brain plasticity, and social ecology. I designed this in 1999. This is Primo Posthuman. If we take here, let me use this. If we take is that good? Thank you. If we take a look at it, we see that this particular body design looks rather human. Well, that's because we get around that way at this point in time. But what I've done is I've added smart skin with nanotechnology, an internal system that's constantly upgrading and transposing. I've added gender changeability. I've added in vivo fiber optic communication spine, metabrain, that is a prosthetic to the neocortex, increased frequency and range in hearing, etc. Now this is a suggested future body prosthetic, a whole body prosthetic. So that if your body were to break down, you might have this body, you may want this body. If you want two different bodies, a biological one, a semi-biological one, or a whole body prosthesis. We can't do that now. Thus the issue.